Hello again. Today is the first day that I felt going out on a fuel and food run. The darkness has encompassed the country and the community. I don't know if it's the same where you are, but this is the first time I've felt a sense of darkness in society since martial law was introduced, global martial law. Let's not beat around the bush. That's what we're dealing with here. Now, it was just not very pleasant being around the shops today. There was very few about. Most of them looked like chickens with their head cut off or deer with their caught in the headlights. You can see it's now moving into the severe mental health psychological issue stage for people. I'm having a great time. I'm sure I hope you are too, making the most of it. But you can see how the normies they're obsessed with the television and getting the latest reports from government experts. Now, on the subject of experts, I'm a fan of science. I love science, but I don't trust it unconditionally. And anyone who tells you must trust the experts at times like this, you remind them of Unit 731 in Japan that, did things like boil children alive and to see how long they would last, and Joseph Mengele stitching twins together and then ripping them apart to test their pain levels, or the eugenics movement, or injecting black men in America with syphilis. You remember the next one they go, it's science, motherfucker. You remind them that if they were around in the Third Reich, Imperial Japan, or back in the 30s, they would have been defending all those people like Mengele, Unit 731, and eugenics and injecting African American men with syphilis. They would have supported it because it's science. So you don't trust science any more than you trust religion unconditionally or anything, especially the media. You should almost never trust the media. No, the mainstream media. Now, or alternative media. Don't trust me. Go do your own thing. Now, this sense of darkness is here today. It's not bothering me, but I could feel it. There's an edginess, tension, and the mental health thing is set in. I was just talking about. I shared an article. There's a few things. This asteroid and comet thing is bugging me again. I'll explain at the end of the video more why. But on this panicdemic, there is no pandemic. I'm convinced of it. Everyone probably has coronavirus. The tests are garbage. They don't work. They're making up. Do you remember back in the day when they said that everyone in Africa had AIDS? It turned out that the tests were bullshit. If you had a cold down there, you were classified as an AIDS patient. And they're doing the same thing with coronavirus. What happens is how they test it is they use a system called amplification, where they basically charge up the DNA, and this shows any conditions that are there's like viruses and so on that are in the system. Now, nearly everyone will have coronavirus that's been around. It's been known about since the 60s, and so it amplifies everything. And so basically, anyone who's been declared what the default is, if coronavirus is in their system, which is nearly everyone has it, they are declared C19 affected, even though it's just coronavirus. It's one of there's many strains. It's not that specific strain. So the tests are absolute bogus. They're just making up garbage, and they don't tell you nothing. They don't tell you. They tell you that you have the flu. And this now, even the Guardian newspaper today said that mortality rates across Europe have dropped during this. Now, a lot of this would have to do with people aren't out driving and things like that, or getting into fights in pubs because they're locked at home, and criminals and not able to deal drugs. But the mortality rates in general have dropped. If they dropped during a pandemic, have you ever heard of such a thing? Even the Guardian, the commies in there would love these pandemics because of they love all the government controls and everything. Even they have set a posted that. Again, we don't know the real numbers. We're just told X amount of deaths. And does this justify martial law if you can't even do the numbers correctly? Global martial law? It doesn't add up in any way. Now, Uh, of course, it's a COVID-19 virus. It does exist, but it's, this is not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with something now. All those things I said about the global collapse being hidden in this or absorbed by this, that's totally true. And also the Clintons and the neocons are in the background there, basically running this. Now, the the thing is with the virus is like it's it's making people insane more than making them sick. Now, there was one lady came on my Facebook page today and says my sister works in the ICU in Boston and they have more patients than usual. I wonder how many of these people have pre-existing conditions or very sick or very old. And the social isolation is and as well as the non-stop watching the doom porn, there's nothing else in the news, is reducing their immune system and making them frightened. And we all know that when the immune system, when you have stress, real stress from being worried, your immune system collapses and your body's more open to be attacked by viruses and cancers and things like that, and infections. So we can't judge them numbers either. You know, we can't judge them numbers either because human being, like I saw today, people are under tremendous stress. I'm very lucky I have a farmer's co-op near where I live, so I can get like lots of things I need because farming still has to go on as long as they tend to animals. And I'm not allowed to buy anything there now except fuel and a few things like if you're a farmer, you can get the worm drench and the things for the liver fluke things for your animals or anything to do with that. They have a sign up saying no fertilizer sold will be sold here. Now that's an interesting one. Uh, okay, it's nothing to do with animals, but you know what else you can make with fertilizer? Bombs. Are they worried of social? If the real truth of what's going on gets out there, they're afraid of, you know, a real social, political, and societal breakdown. You've got to observe, look, and observe, and then not throw all your eggs in the one basket of any side. Yes, my attitude. Yes, that virus exists. Yes, it's probably killing people. No, it's not a pandemic. It's not even. It's being used to hide a financial crash, and it's been time to, by the Clintons and the neocons and the globalists and the media to take down the Bush or the Trump government and to kill off all the economic and gains that he's made, and also that the only chance they have of getting them out in 2020. The hope is that they were hoping that he would make such a mess of this that they could blame him, point at he killed all Americans for not doing the proper thing during the virus, and hope that they could put a fucking organ grinding monkey against him for the Democrats and they'd still win. It's not going to work. His approval rating is soared. He played a blinder here. And I know he probably have similar feelings that we do, but I reckon that he's playing along with it. So he probably pissed. He probably infuriated Hillary Clinton when he implemented the protection measures, the standard protocols for protection, and this because she was hoping he wouldn't. And she's such a vile, repugnant creature. She posted a picture of a makeshift morgue, which are all empty, by the way. All these makeshift morgues, they're all empty for the mass bodies. Saying, well, he would. They said that he would make America or something like make America great again or something, or he would end unemployment. She was just playing on people dying of the virus to score political points, being the mass murdering and demented psychopath that she is. Now, the who was not queen of the world as she demanded to be, expected to be. Now, the so Trump is following the standard protocols that are being followed worldwide, and they're still They're still saying he's killing people by not following the protocols. That's Trump derangement syndrome 101 right there. I had a woman say today saying that to me. Now, the the whole thing, is, it's something. Okay, yes, the economic part, I believe that completely. They're hiding an economic collapse. I believe that the neocons and Clintons are behind that, and the time they took it to cause as much damage to Trump as possible. But there's more. There's something else. There's something else on it about that. Now, this didn't come from a conspiracy or an alternative news site. It came from the CIA's YouTube channel. They had a town hall meeting, and they said, because of the pandemic, of course, they all said essential agency staff have immediately to go into underground bunkers. Now, if this is a virus that's killed with handy wipes, hand sanitizer, and soap, why do the top brass of the CIA need to withdraw by their own? You go look the video up, it's them talking, not me, to the underground bases that were built for nukes during the Cold War. Still think it's a virus? A virus that can be... The CIA are going underground for a virus that you can clean up with baby wipes? There's more again. There's more. This is a Pandora's box we're looking at here. The things I've said so far are true. Now, I'm not trying to worry you or to make you scared or anything like that. I'm just telling you, enjoy your life. Have a great time. But I hope you're still following the guidelines that I'm doing, or I suggest, it'd be a good idea if you tried it. Passive prepping. I don't mean going like a nutcase and going out and buying everything in the shop. That's what the meat golems do. Just a few extra things when you go to your grocery shopping. Cigarette lighters, things that might come in handy. Candles. Cans of soup, not the ones with the pull top, because they have a limited shelf life. The seals don't last forever. Get ones you need a can opener to open it. Make sure you have a can opener. Foods that can be stored long term without refrigeration, that have high protein and fat contents. Cheeses, particularly the ones that are like come in a skin, like camembert. Those kinds of cheeses. If you can go to if you can find the big cheeses and they're waxed, even better. And just don't go mad. Don't be panicking now. Just in case. It'll make you feel psychologically better just by doing that. You see, when you go mad prepping, that's the fear thing. That's the panic thing. If you do it like that, it just makes you feel better. It makes you feel comfortable. Okay. So again, not panic. Now, the third protocol, to use that term, in all this, I have been mentioning it casually, but it's been weighing far heavier on my mind than I've said so far in any of these videos. I can't get that feckin' thought about those asteroids and comets coming in. I just can't get it out of my head. I'm constantly drawn, and there are many others, to looking up at the sky. Yesterday, the clouds, in the west of Ireland, I've never seen them anywhere in Ireland, but there were clouds like you'd see in the Roadrunner cartoon or a Georgia O'Keeffe painting. They were slivers, and they were short. They weren't real long. They were classic desert, Mojave Desert, New Mexico, Mesa clouds that you would see in Georgia O'Keeffe paintings. Just slivers. I've never seen them here, ever. Not anywhere in Ireland, especially here, the damp west, to see those kind of clouds. Lots of people are reporting strange lights in the sky. A lot of that would be because for the first time ever they're looking up and seeing clear stars. They're seeing, the moving ones they're seeing are satellites. These are satellites in space. And the big one is the International Space Station. Now they're also seeing Venus. Venus is incredibly bright. Strangely bright, I might add. It's when I zoom in on my P900, I've had good telescopes in the past, and you really have to zoom in to see Venus as a circle. And I'm actually getting that on the P900, but that could just because of the close alignments or anything. Not to say there's anything weird going on there. But and it has been in that side of the sky about 10 years ago. It definitely was. And seagulls are all coming inland from the sea, and there's no ploughing going on. That's the only thing that used to bring them in this far inland, would be ploughing. and they're all way inland seagulls. The people are seeing strange lights in the sky, and that always happens during time of crisis, like the Foo Fighters. You saw that my ultimate esoteric and occult presentation I gave in Texas a few years ago. The Foo Fighters, people always see strange lights acting peculiar in the sky during times of great crisis. So there'll be a lot of that kind of go on, this projection of tulpas and things like that. And that will happen. But I cannot get this thing of the comet out of my head, and especially the asteroids as well. Now, the asteroid that's coming very close now, and there's two things that made me really want to talk about this today. The first one being the announcement made by the Pentagon. You don't go into underground bunkers because of a flu that can be, like I said, treated with baby wipes. You go in there if there's nukes coming or something like that. They also said April 30th, Walpurgis night, unbelievably, that the US would be in a state of possible lockdown until then. This big asteroid will pass us on the 28th and the 29th. And that suggests the all clear being given. Now, we were almost hit by an asteroid in 2008, and they didn't tell us until it already passed us, because we would have been toast, and there was no point. There was a media blackout on it, and it wasn't the first one either. This one will come 3 million miles. It sounds like far away, but as you saw with the Shoemaker-Levy comet, they can become erratic when they are affected by planetary pull. So if they come close to Mars, they may be moved a half a degree one way or the other, up or down, left, right. The half of the degree could be 3 million miles by the time it gets to the Earth from Mars. It doesn't necessarily have to hit the planet directly. It can pass through the upper atmosphere. Passing through the upper atmosphere, it will cause, wherever it is in the world it happens, an electromagnetic pulse that will destroy all electronics. That's not buried deep underground, and that's not old. Like I told you, one of my hobbies is fixing model trains, and a lot of the ones I work on were built in the 1950s and 60s. They're built with very heavy motors. They would survive, like old car starting motors would survive, but that's why I like old radios and stuff. And that's why I've got my transistor radio wrapped in aluminium foil, with batteries wrapped in aluminium foil separate. 2 of them, just in case. It's also why I'm making these videos. I expect the internet will probably become limited or go down to just emergency broadcast. I want this out there, all this kind of stuff out there. Now, this may not happen. This asteroid could be deflected the other direction, 6 million miles away, and that's great. We don't want that. That's the first one. If it clips the atmosphere, it will do that. Secondly, if it makes a direct hit, it'll probably sterilize all life on Earth, and that's the end of it. The force of these things are beyond comprehension. If it passes Mars and breaks up, or hits Mars, we're looking at a Velikovsky type situation, where we may be the generation who lives through the planet actually not only having a magnetic polar flip, but a flip, an actual lateral flip. You know, an actual longitude, latitude flip. I'm not saying this will happen, I'm just throwing this stuff out there. If it misses Mars, but Mars's gravitational pull affects it, it can smash it into different pieces. This can cause smaller asteroids to rain down. Now, there was one that landed in Russia about 10 years ago. It was a meteor. It destroyed a factory, it killed 3 people, and turned nighttime into daytime. The thing was the size of a football. It was that size. What's about something the size of a bus hitting a city like New York or Berlin or Tokyo or London or any city? There are other aspects too as well. If this thing comes close enough to the Earth to not hit it, but doesn't break up or clip the atmosphere, it could smash into those satellites that are circulating up there, or its fragments could, and they'll be like pins in a bowling alley. There's a reason why they crash satellites into the southern pole of inaccessibility between Easter Island and the South Pole. It's because the satellites can literally they can be ICBMs. They can be like ballistic missiles if they hit the right target coming down. So they crash them into the pole of inaccessibility on purpose. So away from as many people as possible. They would come raining down like missiles from space. Now this, again, I'm not saying it will happen. We have the underground base. We have the April 30th date already thrown out there. And I still have high hopes that by Corona will lose its shine by April 9. Either they'll go back to normal, or they'll tell us the truth of what's really going along, or people will just give up on it and start living their lives again. But April 30th was another one. Also, why did Trump create a space military force? Interesting, isn't it? So, the comet I'm not particularly bothered by. It'll probably put on a beautiful show if we're still here. But these asteroids do bother me. They do bother me. I hope I'm completely wrong about this, completely. But everybody seems to want to look at the skies lately. And human consciousness is directly connected to the cosmos for a reason. What's up there is down here, as above, so below. And let's just, yes, the real reason for the pandemic is they've crashed the economy to get it back to where it was in the 1970s. But if we're dealing like what Churchill said about the Soviet Union, it's an enigma wrapped up inside a mystery. There could be another aspect, and they could be worried about these asteroids. In fact, the only time I ever saw Trump look nervous was when he announced that the pandemic thing. It was the only press conference I've ever seen him in that he had lost his vigor. He looked saddened, or genuinely sad. So, like I said, I hope I'm wrong. Continue on. Passively prep. If people are starting to make fun of you because they love their fear will, because you're questioning this pandemic, you're not losing friends. You're losing people that only had that name. They weren't real friends. A real friend will stand by you even if you're come up with the most kooky shit, because they're your friends because they see you as the person you are and not your affiliations. They see into your soul, and they won't defriend you or call you names if you're questioning the pandemic, which you absolutely should be. I know lots of you are. It's growing out if the shares of my post on Facebook and the numbers increase these videos I'm getting. People are very, very cynical, and so they should be. So again, let's hope the best case scenario is that there really is a pandemic and they treat it well and everything is over on the date. The second worst case scenario is we're heading for a deliberate economic crash down and the pandemic is the excuse. That's the one I believe. The third one, which I said is playing in the back of my mind, is something from space possibly hitting the planet. And I keep thinking back to the Uma thing as well. It was all very strange, like that, even that thing. Look at the videos I made about this in the past. Keep watching the skies. Keep having fun. And don't let the fuckers drag you down.